90,000 prisoners were deported by Titus from Judea. 1,108,000 perished in Jerusalem, all falling as a single man. On his way to the capital, Titus left 5,000 deportees in Taranto, Otranto, and other cities in Apulia. In 70 CE, the Romans, led by General Titus, son of Emperor Vespasian, laid siege to Jerusalem and destroyed the Temple of Herod, Judaism's most important holy building. Rising on an impregnable hill, the great temple was characterized by a succession of porticos leading to the Holy of Holies. Kept inside was the Ark of the Covenant, a gold-covered chest of acacia wood containing the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments delivered by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. After the Third Jewish-Roman War, Emperor Hadrian forbade the Judeans to enter Jerusalem and refounded the city with the name Aelia Capitolina. After that time, the Jews lived mostly in the diaspora outside of Palestine. The first Jews had actually already reached Apulian shores before these events. Some were slaves, many were merchants. In Apulia's harbors, they found favorable opportunities for coexisting with local inhabitants, and continued for centuries to enjoy trading relations with other Jewish communities scattered around the Mediterranean. Some grew rich and purchased lands, becoming part of the Roman elite. They took Latin names alongside their traditional ones, and continued speaking several languages and practicing their religion, while observing their rules of daily life. In Salento's ports, we might have encountered some of them as they engaged in trade, especially in fabrics and ceramics. Hypotheses confirmed by major archaeological finds that still tell us about their passage and the memory of their places of origin. The Salento settlement soon grew and, over the centuries, the Jewish settlers gathered in well-characterized urban areas called Judaicae. These areas were home to one or more public synagogues, schools and community buildings, bakeries, butcheries, apothecaries, and all the essential services for social and religious life. The presence of Jews in Lecce is documented since the Roman imperial age. The earliest remains of a Jewish quarter with a synagogue date to the 11th century. The Judaica grew with increasingly numerous arrivals of refugees from Provence and Spain between the late 14th century and the first half of the 15th. In the first half of the 15th century, Lecce's Jewish community was made responsible for maintaining the towers and moats for the section of city wall between the San Giovanni Evangelista Campanile and the San Giacomo Tower. The Judaica was built in the area of the San Martino Gate, which was demolished in the 19th century. Located on the outskirts, it was suitably sited for processing leather and fabrics, typically Jewish activities during the Middle Ages, and near the market square. Along the route of modern-day Vico della Saponea, we would have found case palatiate and small one-story dwellings typical of Salento architecture. Here, there is evidence of soap-making workshops, but of course activities connected to daily life might also be encountered, like the butcher's shop where, then as now, foods were prepared in accordance with the laws of kashrut. In the heart of the neighborhood, in the area occupied by the present-day Palazzo Personè, rose the ancient Sephardic Synagogue. Its location is verified by analysis of the masonry and well supported by historic testimony and archival sources. Like other synagogues in the Mediterranean area, its entry was certainly mediated by a courtyard, a space for passage and purification, adorned with plants and other elements functional to religious rituals. To this day, the building's basements conserve pools that, using spring water, were probably employed as mikvehs, places for ritual ablutions. The synagogue's interior space was delimited by longitudinal walls made of local stone and covered by a roof of very simple tiles, later described by the pastoral visit of Bishop Scipione Spina as tegulis informis. As was the custom, the synagogue was oriented towards Jerusalem. On the eastern wall, opposite the entrance, there must have been the Aron HaKodesh, containing the scrolls of the Holy Scriptures, illuminated by the Ner Tamid, the eternal flame symbolizing God's constant presence over the people of Israel. The reader's platform, the bimah, was most likely prominently positioned at the center of the hall, as often depicted in certain medieval miniatures. The Judaica also survives today in local place names and in finds like the epigraph relocated in the basement of Palazzo Adorno, most likely part of a complete inscription placed at the entrance to the ancient house of worship. With the events connected with the anti-Semitic riots that spread after the French invasion of the Kingdom of Naples, in 1495, Lecce's population raided and sacked the Judaica, causing destruction everywhere. After these events, which marked a profound cesura in the history of the local Jewish community, the Jewish quarter was gradually abandoned, and the properties were transferred to Christians. Thus, in an area previously occupied by productive activities most likely linked to the tanning of hides, the Santa Croce Basilica, now an icon of Lecce Baroque style, was built at the urging of the Celestines. In 1495, the synagogue was converted into a church and renamed Santa Maria Annunziata. In 1589, Marco Tron, the new Venetian owner of the former synagogue, received from Father Gabriele Martino the license to erect a chapel dedicated to St. Francis of Paola. Some of its columns may still be seen in the courtyard of the present-day palazzo. In 1592, Bishop Scipione Spina granted Tron permission to raze the old structure to the ground and to rebuild it in more elegant form, but Tron died just a few years later. The short amount of time he had and the data derived from analysis of this building's construction phases would suggest that the synagogue was never completely demolished, but only made more suitable for counter-Reformation era Christian worship. These initial results express the liveliness of a constant research effort conducted by Jewish Museum Lecce in collaboration with specialists in various disciplines to recover a partially unacknowledged history, but also to spur reflection upon Lecce's urban and social transformations between the Middle Ages and the modern age. The research is aimed at restoring a heritage of knowledge yet to be explored, in order to fully comprehend the multiculturality of medieval Salento society and piece together the traces of a memory we all have the duty to learn about, to value, and to communicate.